What's up, everybody? I thought today would be a good day to talk a little bit about Claude Anderson. I did not really know about him really like that until coming to YouTube and hearing other people bring him up when mentioning us needing to have our own separate identity, and that he was the first person to talk and say that we were the native Black American. And so this is kind of like where Tariq Nasheed got FBA from, like another name to express who we are. And I think it's high time that I talk a little bit about him. And I will learn as you guys listen to what he has to say. He has a lot of different clips. I'm going to talk a little bit about who he is and showcase some of the smaller clips before we get into other information on him. And I'm pretty much going to learn, and then we'll get into some of the news as of late with immigration and a lot of the back and forth that's taken effect on social media, especially is kind of odd, but a lot of Somalians are going to Tariq Nasheed's platform, and they have a lot to say now. And it just is fascinating to me how they really would like to get us to like ride for them. And it's just curious how so many people have really disrespected Indigenous American Blacks to the point where it is really at the point of no return. And literally, this is my sentiment as well. I typically don't like to be overly rude. I just like to speak my truth, and I hope that people will take what I say as being my opinion. I believe that the Indigenous American Black folks really do not have proper representation. The Democrats are garbage. The NAACP is garbage. The CBC is garbage. Everybody that's in the Senate and especially the Democrats do not give a damn one iota about Black Americans, and it's evident that they're on the side of illegal and so-called legal. In some regards it is legal, but in a lot of regards what Biden did, I don't take it as being as legal as they would like us to believe. But they're on the side of everybody else but us. All the things that have taken effect since Trump has come into office has really opened up my eyes to see everything that I've been thinking has actually been the truth. All the fears that I had were actually going on behind and in front of my. I can no longer pretend like I don't see what I'm seeing. I don't hear what I'm hearing. So it is my my duty, I believe, to kind of encourage Blacks to advocate for themselves, to learn to advocate for yourself, to look at what everybody else is doing and understand you need to be doing it for your own specific group. A lot of us have been trained, though, and brainwashed, however, to believe in terms of every other group over us. Like, it is really hard to shake. I'm seeing with a lot of other people, not me, but a lot of other individuals still struggling to get over being the sacrificial lamb, being the so-called superhero in the story, being used by everybody, being the tool given by every other group of people that come to America. Like, literally, we are the lifeline, and people are siphoning from us to go over us, over our heads. And I believe that Claud Anderson really recognized this truth a long time ago, and nobody really listened to him. He was saying little tidbits, and people weren't understanding that what he was saying was like forecasting the future. And we are here now in the future, and all things are being revealed. And unfortunately, a lot of people expect us to pretend like we don't understand that we are last, according to how the Democrats have everything set up. And Trump is making a lot of resets to give us an opportunity to come from the depths of being pretty much replaced and bogarted over. Literally, that's what's going on. Anyways, I really want to talk about Claud Anderson, and I'm going to first go to Wikipedia or some type of conversating document about what and who is Claud Anderson, rather. Who is Claud Anderson? Let's take a listen to that, and then I will play a little clip of his. What's up, everybody? Thank you for being here. Sigmund Boy and Karina Torres, thank you both for being here. Let me just say, I know there's a lot of immigrants in America, like by the millions, buttloads and buttloads of immigrants. And I have never had an issue with anyone prior to, I believe, Joe Biden becoming president. And he did what he did with the border. That's what brought to my mind an issue with having too many illegals flooding to the point where it would be too much competition for Black Americans or Indigenous American Blacks, to the point where it would be too much. And this is why I thought that immigration was kind of a very important topic and subject to really be on top of. And I would say that it was the first time ever me being involved with voting, to the point where I politically thought about my vote meaning something for the first time. Never ever did that before. But anyways, I voted for Trump based off of his immigration viewpoints. And it was because of what Joe Biden had did that I thought it was necessary to have somebody like Trump. But Dr. Claud Anderson, he is a doctor. I didn't know that. I guess I have heard that before, but I forgot. He is a noted Black author. He has successfully implemented social and economic change throughout his career. He has a unique background of experience reflected in Powernomics, the national plan. So he came out with the concept of something called Powernomics. He predicted on the idea that Black Americans must develop a collective economic and political base to influence broader societal change. Central to this philosophy is the belief that political power is largely rooted in economic strength. And what I would like to say is, because we don't have the correct leadership and we don't have our own advocacy group or nation representing solely the American Black that's indigenous to America, we are finding out that this mindset of believing that being down for the Democrats and being inclusive for every other group, including immigrants, illegal, legal, everybody from all over the world, everybody's being called people of color or minority. It really boxed us out of having our own particular group of representation. And I think that has set in stone the demise of our collective. So the reasons why a lot of us are really, truly delineating, as I keep talking about, is because we want to figure out how to mentally get our group of people on the same one accord of thinking about properly representing yourself and advocating for yourself and thinking for yourself, on yourself, instead of everybody else first. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time to unravel this sick brainwash syndrome thing that has happened over time with dealing with the Democrats. I think that dealing with the Democrats have really hurt Black Americans, indigenous to America, because again, they played a cold game with just making us believe that they were for us, but just playing us for other groups of people over us. Anyways, let me show this first clip of Claud Anderson to really get it going. Fair use of all videos that I show under the Copyright Act of 1976 for education, observation, information, all the above, not meaning to impose, but to inform and enlighten. Hoping that YouTube would understand that this is not a hate video, not at all, but it's going to be very telling what I show, because I would like to hope to influence Black Americans to really think about yourself and not get tripped up with all the other groupings that people are trying to bully and bash us into being submitted by. Let's get to this.
And what slavery and Jim Crow segregation did with Black folk, it intentionally maldistributed all the resources away from Black folk. and created a real-life Monopoly game. If you know anything about Monopoly, Monopoly is based on everybody sitting down and getting the fair share of the resources, the money in their hand before the game starts. Primary principles that go around the board and take the money that you have and buy land. Then you buy businesses like electric company, the railroad, and the water company. And when you develop your land, you put houses on it. And once you can receive enough rent from people landing on your houses, you then take your money and buy hotels. If you buy the hotels, you sit there and wait for all the rest to come around and land on your property and bring some wealth and power home to you. And see, my people have been playing real life Monopoly with no money, going around the board hoping the world that they can land on free park and income tax and charity. And when you land on the wrong property Monopoly, you got two choices. You either go to jail or you go bankrupt and get out of the game. And
So
what slavery and Jim Crow segregation
that's the fire that he brings in conversation. And I really wish that he could be more on the order of a leader or somebody that's advisory to us. I don't know what he does, but I'm going to try to see if I could try to contact him or DM him and ask him, could he be more of a action voice, an active voice, or someone that can make writings to Trump or try to get the ear of a representative, somebody that could be a representative person to us. And I think that he would be a very good voice because he's been thinking in terms of us as being a group, which is a good thing, because it's just not really normal for us to even think about. It's not normal for us to think about. But yeah, we've been playing Monopoly. We've been playing with fake money as everybody else has mobilized from other groups that come from other nations, and they get the real ear of a governmental official, and they come and advocate to get grants and money towards whatever they desire. I mean, think about what the Somalians did. They contacted the welfare and other governmental agencies to so-called help the community, so-called feed the homeless, so-called help out with autism, so-called do all these other things that they were just hand delivered millions and billions of dollars. Since when have Black Americans had representation where they had the ears of anybody in the government to just simply tap them on the shoulder and say that we wanted to help out the ghetto and we wanted to provide, clothing or shoes or whatever we could come up with, and we need millions and billions of dollars to do that for our particular people. We have never had that type of access. So when I'm just thinking about how easy it was for them to pull that in Minnesota, it has really blown my mind. But they have had proper representation. And they have been using every way imaginable to keep that action going. Now that they're in trouble, they're hijacking the term Black to try to somehow attach that to them, in addition to using everything with their Somalian group and everything else that they're trying to gain, they're trying to get. But we don't have the same type of people in our group. We just have people online talking. We have people debating. We have people arguing. But there is no actual person like from ADOS or Tariq Nasheed or anyone going to these people that they're going to have access of money to flow. But somehow they barely been here 30 years, and the Somalians of Minnesota have been able to somehow do that without anyone being a barrier, no one questioning why so much money so fast and so long. It just It just shows you who's favored, in other words. It shows you that there's a preference, in other words, and it shows that the obstacles that Black Americans have, other groups of people apparently are not having. And I think that the Somalians and the Democrats are most upset that we now see that, because we have a reference point to understand that we are not them and they are not us, and they are treated differently than how we've been treated. That's first and foremost. But let's now get to another clip of Claud Anderson. I just want to put that out there as I go. I'm thinking about other things and I will bring that up. It's just something that I just been tripping on. Why is it taking us so long, who's been here the longest, to have that type of access of millions and billions of dollars for our particular group? Why are we always told we're people of color and minorities, while other people are playing other games outside of how we are able to play? And this is why it's important that we delineate and get some proper representation to speak for us, to be able to have the same types of accesses that other groups of people that are not even deserving of getting what they got. I don't think that the people of Minnesota should have been able to acquire billions of dollars like that by simply tapping somebody on the shoulder. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let me see. There's another one I want to show. Let me show you this other clip. Why American Black people are still at the bottom. I think that this is very interesting right here. Let's look at this.
Discount off it. Same products you got on your shelf. They said, we're still not interested. And the blacks would say, why aren't you interested in buying these products? I'm going to give you a discount of 25 to 30% on it. And you still don't want it? They say, you black folk don't understand. It's not the price. It's not the money. It's a culture. We're raised to buy only for our own people. We want to work for our own people. That's why the Wall Street Journal puts out a story saying what Chinese say, we'll never hire any black folk. You're never going to go to a Chinese restaurant or Chinese anything and find black folk working there. We only hire our own people. We only buy for our own people. We only support our own people. You black folk will buy from any and everybody because you don't have a code of conduct. It doesn't mean anything to you. That's why you all can't get ahead, because you don't play as a team. You all play as individuals. And you listen to these black activists on the streets saying, we're not a monolithic people. Just because he did it, we don't have to do it. He's wrong. All of you should play as a team. Even if you don't like something that the group is going to do, you should play along with the team. And so you got team power. Wealth and power follows the numbers. You haven't got a lot of blacks with you. You're not pooling your money, pooling your votes, pooling your attention, pooling your interest, pooling your labor. There are other people that pick you clean and cherry pick you. You stay at the same spot. That's why right now, blacks in America only own and control almost exactly what they had in 1790.
Yeah, definitely true. We do not work together, and I believe personally it's because of different ideologies that we entertain. We didn't have all these different ideologies that we could participate in as much as we do have right now. There's a lot of people that claim to be Moors, Muslims, Christians, Republicans, Democrats, Pan-Africans. Some claim to be Africans, some claim to be Indians, just a whole host of different identities that think in terms of being from America or from somewhere else, or have an allegiance to something else. And we potentially have been we are fragmented right now. So delineating stops that from being the case, because it makes you more focused on one group of people, and it makes you think in terms of just that collective, that I think we need to, want to be like or do like other groups of people are doing. It's just obviously that we continually just get sidetracked and distracted by other groupings that come to America and have confused a lot of us. That's what has happened. Okay, so let me get to the next one. I'm going to show one more clip of Claud Anderson just to kind of like give us more of an idea of the mindset that we need to have. Let's see. I'm just randomly picking a video. These videos I haven't checked out all the way yet. I just kind of like saw them earlier briefly, but never really took the time to hear them through and through. But let's play a small clip from Dr. Claud Anderson. This one is about, are Black people different from other race groups? So this is kind of important. Let's get to this.
We want to be able to look about civil rights and social integration. And so capitalism means owning and controlling those resources. And that's what my powernomics stuff is about. We're going to learn how to own and control resources and power and wealth to take care of our own people. And I guarantee you, from all my years in running campaigns, every politician would knock down anything to get to your door. You can deliver and become the most powerful people in this country if you started voting as an independent bloc. It said we move as a group. We move as a fist rather than fingers. And we'll stay together and we'll take care of each other, we'll buy from each other, we'll support each other, and we'll look after each other. And we'll make our dollars bounce in our community on that first floor. We'll make it circulate 8 to 12 times before it leaves Black hands. You're powerless. They know the only thing you're going to do, they shoot 20 Blacks tomorrow. All thing you're going to do is go out and march. That's all you're going to do. They know that. You have no power and wealth.
Drinking warm water before bed improves eyesight almost overnight. Thousands of people are already doing this.
They know that. You have no power and wealth. Why don't Black folk say our exceptionality is that we are different from all these groups you're trying to put us into? So how can you let somebody put you in a bag with all these other groups when they don't have the experiences you have and have been treated the way you've been treated? At some point, your exceptionality should be brought up and should be dignified. That you were the first in all these things. You were the first people. You were the first Jews. You're the first human beings on earth. You're different. Exceptionality. And I want you, at all these marches that you have, I want you to start marching towards exceptionality. And so we're going to get into that. But first, let me say, I don't want to deviate from what is customary that I do whenever I come to one of these occasions. That is to try to give you a status report on Black people in America. And let me tell you up front, you are not progressing. I've been telling you that now for 25 to 30 years, even when I was with the Carter administration going around the country. You're not going to progress. You're going backwards. You're going backwards. The only people, Blacks in America, are progressing are those who are locked into a vein called entertainers. If you're an entertainer, what you're telling white folk is that you are safe as a birth control pill. There ain't nothing going to happen. You're not going to do anything for Black folk. If you're running with a ball, joking, telling jokes, singing, dancing, that's safe. White folk, that doesn't frighten white folk. They'll give you a television show. They'll put you on 10 television shows. They'll make you a host of a television show. They'll let you broadcast every sport event. As long as you don't address any issues dealing with Black folk and the problems that Black folk have. And so when you all see all these Blacks on television, read about them in the newspaper, those Blacks have been classified as being 20 times safer than the birth control pill. There ain't nothing going to happen for Black folk. And so this morning, I want to let you know that you are not progressing. You're not progressing. And first and foremostly, social integration has failed. Get that through your head. Social integration has failed. As a matter of fact, you lost in social integration. You didn't gain anything. You lost everything you had. Any Black person here in this auditorium today that's more than 50 years of age can tell you what you used to have. You have nothing now. You used to have theaters and bus companies, cab companies. You used to have almost everything that whites had. But now you have nothing. Why? Because see, social integration is a weakening process. It is not designed to empower you. Powernomics might be, but social integration is not. You cannot integrate anything you cannot empower anything by integrating it. You weaken it. And in social integration in this country, what social integration did was make you a guest. You became a guest in what other people own and control. And any of you know that once your guest has been with you for 2 or 3 days, you want to get rid of him. We are guests. You don't own any hotels. You don't own anything of value in the country. That's why everybody's been pushing social integration. That's why you no longer have.
But who does own like different businesses in comparison to the indigenous American black? A lot of immigrants. They have their restaurants, they have their hair braiding shops, they have just different gas stations, they have their other businesses that they somehow are able to come out with. Yeah, we have some businesses like barbecue spots, soul food spots, but it's dwindled considerably from what we used to know ourselves in the 60s and 70s as having. It is more likely that you will find immigrants that have more businesses than the average indigenous American black. And I do believe that they decided back in the early 70s when they allowed the Immigration Act to pass to pretty much front all the immigrants to get businesses over us on purpose. I think it was a strategy to keep us down, and it's worked. It's definitely worked. And I have understood overflow of immigration is just not a benefit to Black Americans. I mean, maybe a little bit of it from here and there, like the professionals that come to be engineers or doctors. But when you have the refugee immigrants or the ones that come for economic gain to work and whatnot, it can tend to clash with Black Americans that are indigenous to America. It becomes more of a competition thing. And once the immigrants get a stronghold in a position like a manager or owner, they don't have to come and hire Black Americans to fill jobs and other things that they have established. They just the immigrants tend to side with the immigrants or side with their own particular grouping of people, while our government preaches to us to think about including other groups of people when we do things. And I believe just having that mindset for a number of decades has really made things a lot more harder. And I'm just saying, it really does. Now, here is a small video that I found earlier today. This Somalian is talking about her identity as a Somalian, and she's reflecting on what her core view of what to be about as a Somalian for her people. The way she speaks is the way I believe most groups of people are like they all come with this same mentality. And I believe that Black Americans should have this type of mentality for our specific group instead of looking at Blackness as being the code for us to consider including all so-called Black people from all over the world. It pretty much boxes us out of our own specific claim when you can include everybody that's so-called Black. They don't do it. The Somalians don't look out for other so-called black people. Nigerians don't come to America and think about other black people. They think about Nigerians. And then sometimes they even think about their specific tribe, Ibu or Igu or whatever it is. Ibu and Fulani, Hassa, whatever, all those different ones like that. They think about their specific tribe. But then they come and they seem to all be on the same mindset. I'm noticing all Africans, even though they are the same distinct way of grouping their own group, they'll talk to Black Americans as y'all stay inclusive though to us. They talk about being open to them. They talk about us thinking about blackness solely. They like the idea that we stay thinking about blackness while they think about them, because they know that they're getting over on us and they want us to stay in that same mindset because it benefits them. And this is what's so frustrating about our people, that they cannot see what is being done and why it's so dumb to only think about blackness. It does not benefit us as a group. It keeps us like a servant to everybody else as blackness. And that is just dumb. That is just one-sided. And look at this video to really showcase what I mean.
My Somali background, my identity being a Somali American has always gave me like this sense of duty. It's to show up, it's to give back, it's to open doors. And then leadership to me means building with integrity and lifting others as I climb. I think that's actually one of my lifelong philosophies.
Okay, so she said lifting others. Now, when she says others, it's very important to note, she means other Somalians. She don't mean everybody or anybody, neighbors included, all blackness included, Black Americans included. We love everybody. No, she's specifically saying her people are those others. Listen.
Is every time I climb, I try to bring my community up with me. So I put out this statement when I was speaking in Qatar like a few months ago about bringing 100,000 tech opportunities back to Somalia. And I really plan on doing that because
she says she was working on trying to bring 100,000 different technical jobs back to Somalian. She has her whole existence, her whole mindset, her energy, her power, her vision is solely on her own people. It is not inclusive to Black Americans. It's not inclusive to other Africans. It's not inclusive to other races of people of America. It is solely only for her people. That's how most and all, well, I would say 95% of all immigrants would be in the same mindset as her. They might not say it in front of our faces because they don't want us to think that that's how they think, because they still want to trick us. They still want to lie to us. They still want to trick us. Let's go.
I know that those opportunities would lead to lifelong changes for generations to come. So I always try to think about people first and have that mindset and building with like empathy and high standards as well. So yeah, I think the statement that I said earlier about bringing 100,000 tech jobs, I want in Somalia by 2030, I think that I see tech as not just a career path for people to go on, but as a tool for liberation and as a tool for us to bring back and rebuild our country. So I think that's probably my answer.
Okay, so you hear clearly that she was down for the cause. She was thinking about the future for her people. She was thinking about the advancement there in Somalia. She's not in Somalia, but she's talking about what she can do in America to further the progress over there in Somalia. What you didn't hear was the so-called others that she spoke of was not inclusive of other so-called Black folks. It was definitely not inclusive about Black Americans. It was none of that. So why is it that suddenly, since these deportations and threats of deportations and the ICE coming around in Minnesota, and this scandal with the scam is now causing Somalians to pop out and speak on social media and trying to pretty much almost beg us to get involved for their plight, to help them out as being a voice for them, as being an advocate for them, when they would never, ever do that for us. They would never do anything to benefit my group. They would never give us a job. They would never consider us in any regard. But they still, because of this reputation that we've had, are trying to get us to care. And I'm saying that, enough is enough. We see what they're really on. It's time for us to let people do for themselves, and it's time for us to worry about ourselves. I want to now go, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about the show that I caught today with Tariq Nasheed. Actually, it was a couple of shows that he did where a couple of Somalians came on, and they were really going back and forth talking to Tariq. And I want to let y'all see their mindset when they're in trouble. Every group of people has the same mindset, that they're willing to say whatever to get us to listen to them and try to reason with us to be on their side temporarily. It is a temporary thing. As soon as the dust is cleared, they will go right back to being how they really are. That's what they will do, is go right back to being what they really are. The first one was involving a Somalian that was asking the question, what was wrong with scamming the system? He literally asked, what was wrong with scamming the system? Let me see.
Make it seem like it's not a hips with the pirates trying to get the hell up out of there.
Hold on, let me get to
This country?
Little,
all right, hold on.
oh, me, Malcolm in the building. We got Miss Ashley at Rootwork. Shit. Oh yes, they have. Oh yes, they have.
Hold on, let me make sure this is this right timestamp.
I mean, just because the flies from y'all stomachs can trap.
Hold on. All right, this is not exactly it. All right, so the first one is the guy. I'm going to just start at the beginning. I was hoping to skip the advertisement part of him talking, though.
Before we get started, let me shout out some of the regular.
Come on.
All right. A lot of stuff we're going to get into. Ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, don't forget, man, join me at the Hidden History Museum. 5 days to get that package. This
Minnesota for 3,000 years. So I guess that makes
So
sense.
here it is, where this so-called notion that Minnesota, these Somalians were guaranteed Minnesota 3,000 years ago. A lot of people are claiming that this is their land that was promised to them, like they are chosen people of the Bible, like they are, like we're supposed to look upon them in reverence type of crap. It is bizarre. But let's start off with this.
Somali American.
Nowadays, it's backed up by proof now. There's a lot of
chatter on Somalis being in Minnesota for 3,000 years. I guess that makes us indigenous like you, right?
No, man. Just because the flies from y'all stomachs can travel that far, that don't mean you're from there for 3,000 years. So no.
I know, but I know you've been in TikTok for a minute here, but in the Twitter spaces, people are talking about it. I don't know. That's why I want to come up and see your thoughts on that. I think we're brothers now at the end of the day, despite the fact that we bicker.
Oh, no, we're not bickering. There's no bicker. I don't bicker.
And we're not brothers. We are not brothers. I'm not going to allow any emotional manipulation by not nan immigrant that is struggling with deportations, any of that, to now make me feel like I'm obligated because they called me sister, or they're saying they're my brother and all that kind of stuff. You guys have not been a brother or a sister. You're not going to start suddenly now. But he tried it. I'm just showing y'all how sneaky and scammy these immigrants are towards us. The name of the game is lie to us and get us to help them, and then they can turn their back and stab us in the back later.
With refugees, you can't be foundational and y'all have to hide from ICE trucks. It don't work like that. You see, there's an oxymoron there, right?
The funny part, if you notice the ICE videos, it was largely Latinos that are picking up. I don't think they've picked up any Somalis yet.
Shit. Oh, yes, they have. Have you seen some of these videos? They're getting some of your brethren up out of here.
It's mostly Latinos and a couple of Ethiopians.
Oh, they getting on your folks out there. I've seen a bunch of your Somali brethren up at the airport chilling, luggage full of pre-packaged bushmeat, getting on the plane. They're sending them back over there. So, man, what y'all gonna do? I mean, what's the plan?
Well, we're getting hit from all corners, as you can see, Tariq. So I came up to, and I know another Somali already came up to you a couple of weeks ago talking about a truth between FBAs and Somalis. I think this is a right opportunity for us.
And what's even funnier is Tariq Nasheed is not the leader of our ethnic group. He, of course, can be considered an advocate, I guess, but if he said, let's do this, we're not going to go do this for other groups. It's too detrimental for us to be off of our delineation right now, because we are trying to finally move on one accord, and we cannot deviate from delineating, not even slightly, especially now. None of us wants to put our neck out there for other people. We don't want to go to jail for other people. We don't want to get hosed down or pepper sprayed or potentially unalived or wherever what could happen out there protesting, yelling and screaming and acting a fool. We're not going to do that for anybody. And I hope that people just would stand down and understand that it is not our fight and it's not our problem. This is something that has to be dealt with, though, one way or the other. Trump mentioned a long time ago now, in my opinion, about needing to do these mass deportations and why. He expressed and explained it very clear. Let me go and show y'all a couple of clips to remind y'all. He said this maybe a year ago.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
So he let it be known that he was serious about doing these mass deportations. Even through the campaign trail, he was especially vocal about it. And I want to see if I can find out how many illegals are here currently in America, if there's a number. Illegals in America to date. Let me see what it says. According to August 8th, 2025, it is estimated. Hold on, where did it go? No, it's not. Oh, this is not the right one. Hold on. Report. What are you doing? It's showing that. It's estimated 14 million unauthorized immigrants in the United States as of July 2023 is based on the U.S. Census Bureau's 2023 American Community Survey and the most recent version available. Since 2023, the population has continued to change. And again, they're estimating 14 million are here unauthorized. That is a significant number. That is outrageous. That is truly ridiculous. And again, I know why it was done. It was done to allow the votes for the Democrats to be got by these illegals. That's what they were trying to do. They was trying to lock themselves into power for good. They were trying to lock themselves into power. And so people can't be mad at me for not wanting to see my vote not matter. Like literally they were going to disallow Black Americans from even having a say-so on any regard once these illegals would have been able to vote in our stead. We would have been blotted out. We would have been boxed out. Our voice, our vote wouldn't have mattered. Is that right for that to have happened? Is that fair to have happened? The only people that think that that's fair are the illegals and the immigrants. I am not on the side of Trump because I'm like so-called racist or a hater or xenophobic or anything, but I don't believe that America should have their whole entire America turned to be a third world or another voice of people taking over the voices of Americans. I just don't believe that that should ever be. So that's why I'm in support of Trump. For those that want to know why a Black American woman is in support of Trump, that is pretty much the reason why. So let me get back to, hold on, suddenly got noisy outside, and play some more of this real quick. Please hit the like, by the way, if you could. I would greatly appreciate it.
Weeks ago, talking about a truce between FBAs and Somalis. I think this is a right opportunity for us to go under like a truth agreement where, you know, we don't take shots at each other, you know, because as Somalis we're taking a lot of hits right now from all corners of the globe, and we would like you to at least be neutral in this situation.
We're very indifferent. We're not, you know, we're just sitting back chilling because y'all told us that, you know, you guys work hard and we're lazy and we need to learn from you. So that's what we're doing. We're sitting back learning, right? So we're not even getting involved. We're just sitting back and letting y'all show us how to get it in, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also a good teaching lesson for FBAs on how to finesse, you know, white people, you know, like this has been
how to finesse.
Yeah.
Well, how are you finessing them and you running from an ice truck?
No, they got angry. We finessed them, so now they're bringing the ice trucks. That's the result of finessing them.
No, y'all were finessing all of us because y'all were finessing our tax dollars, and we're affected by that too as Black Americans. Yeah, y'all were out here finessing money for special needs children, people. There was some other judges finessing some veterans' money. So yeah, we're negatively affected by that. That's not a come up for us. That's not something that we look up to. We don't have that collective scamming mindset, sir.
Right, but 96% of that money was going to white people. It was never going to your communities.
What do you mean? Those are tax dollars. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you were never going to see. You were going to pay those taxes, but you were never going to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do see those. Yeah, we see. Yeah, we're going to see them now. Now that they're getting some of your scamming brethren up out of here. So yeah, we're going to see it now.
Well, that money is long gone. It's on the motherland. Don't worry about that money.
And so are you, and so is your family. They're long gone, and they're on the motherland too. They're back over there. All right.
Right. But I don't know why you're hating on it though.
I remember what it's like to be where you are now, trying desperately to keep it all together.
I don't know why you're hating on it though.
I'm not
hating on the finesse.
I'm not hating on anything. I'm chilling, minding my FBA business, sir. All right.
No, it's fair. That's fair. You can observe it, and I hope maybe you have your whiteboard on, your pen, you're taking notes on because you're yourself. I think we'll share that.
We're who? I'm a what?
You're finessing yourself. That term you coined, like that's like I think we share. You might have some Somali actually.
That's a projection. You always like to project your little scams onto us. I'm all the way legit. I don't finesse anything. So that's why I'm trusted. And that's why I don't have to look for ICE vans. That's why I have a large following, because I do legitimate business. I do good business like foundational Black Americans do. We don't have a reputation for global scamming, sir. You see. Don't y'all get tired of that stigma of just running around scamming all over the world? Don't y'all kind of get tired of that?
A serious question, Tariq. What ethnic group in America hasn't finessed the system? Name me one, other than FBAs, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, no, that's not something that's looked up upon. You guys have collective scamming that you guys scam as a group.
No, but every white group has finessed the system.
Like, that's why when they get y'all, when you're busted, it's like 30 or 40 of you. It's like a whole little team of scammers. So that's...
And he's trying to justify his scammy ways to Tariq. It's very interesting that he would be so bold to come online where the world can hear him justifying the scam.
Different, because scamming and lying and stealing and all of that, y'all made that normalized in your culture. That's why you can't do nothing in your homeland, sir. Right?
Yeah, but how did the Italian Americans come up with the system? You think they came in through honest hard work, or did they finesse the system themselves?
Eating off of us. They came in eating off us.
Oh, they were definitely eating off of you. The Italian Americans weren't eating off of you?
Yeah, they were. They were eating off us, yeah. They were eating off us.
They got free land. Most of these Europeans got free land when they came here, but your ancestors who worked hard, who built this country, they didn't get shit. So how are you telling me they came here honestly?
Had to get it out the mud. Yeah, what they did, the Italians came over and they became amalgamated into whiteness, and they became a part of that criminal enterprise. White supremacy is a criminal enterprise.
Yeah, so they scammed you out of your money. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, we still get it out the mud. We still get it. So you coming over with your melanin trying to scam too, that doesn't help us, sir. We don't need
nobody gave us land for free. We had to scam our way the honest way. Like the Italians came here, they were given land for free, the Germans were given land for free, land that should have been.
He said we had to scam our way honestly. We had to scam our way honestly. They really have a different mindset than we have, a different spirit. We don't do this type of stuff. We don't collectively get together and have networks across the globe scamming. Nigerians do it. Indians do it. They do it. And so many other immigrant groups do it because they have a home country where they're always having thoughts about and figuring out how they can do for their home country. They have other allegiances. But this is interesting. But, this brings me to mind what Burner Boy had said something not that long ago. I want you guys to hear what he had to say, because it was kind of telling about the mindset of these immigrants. They don't have a problem with lying, in other words. They do not care about lying. That is the least thing on their mind. And that's why I know that they would be bold, many of them, to lie right in front of our face, and they would not bat an eye. But listen to what this clip says.
I see the biggest difference between Nigerians and almost every other African is that, like, every other African has like a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very timid approach to life. Like literally, if you say to like a South African, "Hey Trevor, you're doing well. How are things going?" Then as a South African, my instinct to respond is like, "I'm trying, man. I'm doing okay. I'm trying." Like you're lying. You see, this is what I mean by Nigerians. This is what I mean. No, but this is what I mean. So, and everywhere you go to Kenya, everything. How are things?
That's the thing. We don't lie unless we want to scam you.
I see
He said we don't lie unless we want to scam you. How many other people think like that? A whole host of them do. Unless we want to scam you, we'll lie to you. So how easy it is for you to lie. I would imagine very, very, very easy. Just like this Somalian guy is telling it, so many others do it. And yeah, let's get back to this.
Given land for free, land that should have been owned by your ancestors. Keep in mind, right?
Yeah. Thing is, y'all coming over scamming. The problem with that is when y'all do good, you're Somali. When you do something great, you put that on the Somali board. But when y'all do all that damn scamming and finessing, y'all used to just throw it on us. It became a black crime. And we said, hell no, we're different. We're not the same. Their crimes ain't got nothing to do with us. So y'all wanted to dump your little negative stigmas onto us. And we said, no, we don't want to do that. So now you're holding your own nuts. You're absorbing your own stigma, and it's not really working out too well for you, is it?
Well, we're holding our own nuts and also holding our own foreheads. You don't share the foreheads with us, so why should we share the success with you as well?
Right. But yeah, don't share the crimes with us. Yeah, when y'all start scamming, y'all want to be black. Just like now, you calling up and let's have a truce. And we're all in this together. No, we good. No, y'all you do. Y'all do it.
Tariq, it's a crime if a Somali does it.
Let me get Zattern in. Zattern, hop on, brother.
Hey, thank you for bringing up Tariq. How you been, man?
I'm good.
I just wanted to, first, before we get into this dude, I just wanted to apologize when he brought me up on TikTok. I was kind of high. My bad. I won't do that again. And then I was also wanted to say, do you, you can multi-stream as well. It's called Streamlabs, and then you can stream on X, TikTok, YouTube, all at the same time. So some people don't feel left out.
On Labs, does it do Twitter Space or
No, it does. Oh, you're right. It does. Yeah, it does. It does X Live.
Right. I don't like that. X Live is whack. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. But yeah, the Somalis, bro, y'all don't. Oh my goodness, man. This country wasn't even a country 3,000 years ago. So where did y'all get the we get many? Yeah, I don't get it, bro. This country wasn't even a country 3,000 years ago. Y'all need to stop with y'all false, narratives, bro. Just go back to your homeland, bro. All that little hoopla y'all saying earlier in the year, saying, "Oh, we're gonna be the ones getting deported." No, it's you guys. Thank you for letting me up, Tariq.
There you go. All right, Mr. Smalley. So what do you, are you gonna? Where are you right now, Foundational Somali? Are you still? Let me look at your location real quick. Let me see where you are. Hold on, let me just look at you.
I'm in the second promised land, Canada.
Canada, man, you ain't even over here. They ain't got your ass up out of here already.
I left Minnesota a long time ago.
They got you. You bounced. You got the hell on up out of here already. All right, you already got out of here. That's funny, man. So yeah, you up there. You chilling in Canada now.
I'm telling you, we're more sophisticated than Latinos, Tariq. We're not going to get caught that easy.
And the only reason why they're more sophisticated is because they're being aided by the Democrats. They are their sidekick. Let's listen to the fact that Tim Walz is the governor there in Minnesota, and there was whistleblowers and people trying to tell on these scams of what the Somalians were doing a while ago, and they were denied, telling this information. So we're gonna look at this video that's kind of talking about Tim Walz and him claiming that he put these people in jail when he wasn't about all that to begin with like that.
It's hard to be a woman.
Hold on.
A Minnesota nonprofit is facing allegations that it pocketed money that was supposed to be spent on impoverished children.
Former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, the state's governor, says his office deserves credit for rooting out the alleged fraud. Paul Spade checks that claim for PolitiFact.
Have you heard about a case in Minnesota involving a group called Feeding Our Future? Well, it's a nonprofit group that for years received federal funding to provide meals to impoverished children. And federal prosecutors have accused the group of operating what they call the largest COVID-19 fraud scheme in the nation. Now, this press release is from back in 2022 when the Biden administration brought charges against 47 people. And the crackdown continues to this day. Just last month, the Trump administration announced it had charged now 78 people in this case. Now, former vice presidential candidate.
Mind you, Feeding Our Future is a nonprofit, Minnesota nonprofit founded in 2016. 2016, that's a long time to have access to billions and billions of dollars. That's a long time. There has to be plenty of other people involved. It says it's during the COVID-19 pandemic. It claimed to distribute many thousands of meals to school children, but instead stole hundreds of millions of dollars while providing few or no meals most of its locations.
Walz, he's been Minnesota's governor for years, and on NBC's Meet the Press, he was asked about this scandal.
Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems.
Talking about distraction. Again, let's think about that. 2016, this money has been brought out 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 3, 4. Wow, 8, 9 years. Just solely to the Somalians. No Black people shared in the festivities of these funds. And we have to think and consider that this has to be like a collaboration, a partnership with the Democrats. They were being broke off money. And this guy knows a lot more than what he's saying. He knows a lot more than what he's saying. And this guy was supposed to be the vice president to Kamala Harris. These are basically known ops of ours.
Did Walz really put people in jail in this case? No. While state agencies cooperated, the investigation and the prosecutions have been led by the federal government. The New York Times recently wrote about how the alleged fraud, quote, swamped Minnesota's social services system under the governor's watch. In a report by Minnesota's legislative auditor said oversight by the state's Department of Education was so lacking that it created opportunities for fraud. The report also said the department did not exercise its authority to hold the program accountable. All of this is why the Truth and Mirror rates Walz's claim false. Read more about this at WREL.com.
Yep, definitely a liar.
Life begins
Hold on. We're going to get more into this. I want to see if anything new is about Tim Walz, because I hope and pray that he will be convicted, indicted for what is going on and has happened in Minnesota. I don't think that the Somalians should be the only ones going through what they're going through, the ones that have been arrested and put in jail. So, let's see if there's anything else. Tim Walz. So he has so-called unveils actions to address fraud. We're not going to do the whole thing, but let's look at this.
Of course, we always wish we would have known more sooner, but I don't think having an insight into that or seeing that. Remember, these programs were crafted, many of them during COVID. The guardrails were taken off, and the guidance was to move the money with the idea that those guardrails were often would be there. In retrospect, again, but I'm not going to say this, I will not apologize for making Minnesota one of the safest states during COVID, and we used many of these programs to do that. The criminals abuse this. I think the focus, again, and one thing I'm incredibly proud of, there's not state employees involved in this. Were there state employees that should have known more? Yes, and they're no longer working in the state. But it wasn't out of malice, and it wasn't out of criminal. It was the lack of skepticism around these programs. Of course, we always wish we would have known more sooner.
But that's not true, because people talked about it. I heard in another video, I'm not sure if I still have that video, but they told him a while ago, and he shooed them off and even threatened them, according to what they said. So it's very interesting how he's trying to play and cover up. I do believe if they investigate him further, they will have to find something. How are you going to have a program going on since 2016 and other hands cannot be founded out? I think that is impossible to not do. Okay, let me get back to this.
Domino's specialty pizzas are Domino's best pizzas, and we love that for them. It's the energy all around you.
I'm telling you, we're more sophisticated than Latinos, Tariq. We're not going to get caught that easy. You look, check the videos. Most of those people that I picked up in Minnesota were Latinos, because they're a bunch of clowns.
They don't try to minimize it. They were getting young people and they were kicking and screaming. Boy, they did not want to go to Somalia.
They got a couple of Somalis. That's about it.
It wasn't a couple. They got a nice group of them. Why do you people y'all kick and scream about getting sent back to your homeland? Boy, y'all act like that's like torture. What's all that kicking and screaming about?
No, I mean Minnesota is our homeland too. I mean,
no, it ain't. That's why y'all getting deported. So yeah, your homeland is Somali. Why are y'all kicking and screaming about Somali?
No, it's not. No, we're just being hated on at the moment. There's going to be another ethnic group that Trump is going to.
Everybody's hate. I mean, your people coming over here committing all types of crimes and scams and being disrespectful and just being weird, and people are like, cool, y'all don't let no. People are not allowed to go to Somalia and do all that, so you're not going to be able to come to somebody else's homeland and do that, right?
Not only would you not be allowed to do that, Tariq, you wouldn't last the. That's the honest truth.
Oh, I believe that, because the must would kill me. I'm telling you. I get a whiff of that must in them foreheads. Oh, yeah. I would be on the next thing smoking. I'd be on them ships with the pirates trying to get the hell up out of there.
And funny.
Family still here? You got any family relatives still here? Anybody in danger? Do we need to send some rice? Do we need to help? What do we need to do?
Yeah, don't worry about them, Tariq. They're all good. We'll handle ICE. We just want peace for you at the moment, and we'll deal with you once we're done with ICE. So,
So peace. What kind of peace do you want with us, sir?
it's more not of a piece, it's a truth. You know, like the other Somali gentleman came up to you the last couple of weeks. He was offering you truth. It's like, hey, let's wave the white flags on both sides. You know, while
both sides.
He wants the flag. What he wants is he just wants us to kind of at least not make it any harder, not have the spotlight on them more, not have our own views about what it entails that they did and how it affects us, not mention anything that's going to showcase it in a negative light, like, you know, just hush and push it forward, you know, without whatever. It's just really odd, man. These people are unbelievable. How you doing, African Goddess? You said, but Trevor Noah is a comedian. Yeah, I know he's a comedian, but he, I mean, if you notice what Burna Boy said, he was like, you know, lying. That's what they do. If you want to trick somebody and scam somebody, you're going to lie. Apparently, people can wear different hats. A lot of people can play different roles, and they can have other agendas that a lot of us are oblivious to be honest, African Goddess. A lot of my people are oblivious to having ulterior motives brought to them. People talking to you and meaning to do something else with how they're talking to you. I don't want those type of people in my mix. I don't want scammy individuals that are looking to get over on me and stab me in the back as quick as they can. And I think that, you know, people are on their survival mode. These immigrants are desperate right now. They're trying to cling to us like we are a safety vest in the water. And that is not comforting. I'm going to tell you, it's not comforting. It's not, it feels rather slimy and just manipulative is how it feels. But people think we're easy to get to a lot quicker than they realize. You don't see these people talking to white folks on their channel, begging them to have support by them. They're just coming to us. They want to impress upon us. We're the link, the weak link in their mind to get over on. That's what it feels like to me. That's why I'm not really liking it. So we got to do what we got to do for our own survival. We cannot be worrying about other people and be worrying about other people's situations. It's just no. Especially if you know that they would never have your back. They would never do anything, lift a finger for you. That's how they look at us all the time. How can we get them out of here? How can we replace them? How can we, you know, stop their opportunities? I mean, just think about having many people like that with that mindset that's constantly talking to Black Americans. And that's what they have in the back of their mind. That's real talk. That's what's really going on, to be frank. That's why I don't do a whole lot of fake talking to anybody nowadays. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to play around like I'm not going to be me. Somalia is a war zone. That's why people do not want to go back. Well, they got to figure something out, African Goddess. Or aren't there other places in Africa that they can go to? Like Kenya, South Africa, I don't know. Something. Why do we have to care about everybody that comes over here? I mean, for how long? Indefinitely? That's not realistic to be caring about immigrants to that degree, to the point where you snuff your own advocacy out. You get rid of your own mechanisms to think about yourself and care about yourself. If I don't care about myself, who's going to care about me? Who is going to care about For Black? Who is going to care about Black America? Who's going to care about the ghetto? There are a lot of things going on right now that's not really being talked about pertaining to Black Americans. There are a building in Chicago that's being made to where people cannot stay in them no more, and these people are being evicted. Americans, Black Americans, from an apartment building, and they have until today to move out. Literally today. None of the Democrats are standing with these tenants of South Shore building that was raided by the agents, by the ICE agents a little bit ago. They kind of bum rushed and broke in and did all kinds of stuff to make it inhabitable for them to live in. And instead of the city having other options to put these people up, since this has occurred, they just gave them like a little bit of a warning to get out, a notice on the door or whatever, letter telling them that they had to leave. No, Brandon Johnson is standing by these people. No, nobody. This is what I mean when it really hits us specifically. There's no other groups. There's no advocates. There's no Democrats. There's nothing. Just the people complaining about what's wrong. Let's take a listen to this. And this is just a prime example. What I mean about what we need to focus on. This story is not taken up. It's not really being heard all over the place. But this is happening today.
A Cook County judge denied allowing tenants more time to move out of 7500 South Shore Drive. She called the building a fire trap for numerous safety issues. She says she's trying to protect the tenants by getting them out of a dangerous situation. Some residents tell us they don't have anywhere to go.
We are in an emergency situation. Some of us are still stuck in this building. Some of us have been stuck in this building. Friday is our last day.
Tenants of 7500 South Shore Drive have 4 days to move out. They are being evicted after weeks of legal action over dangerous conditions reported in the building. Some of those conditions allegedly left after federal agents raided the building in September. The Trump administration released a highly produced video of the incident.
It took a military invasion to get the city to pay attention. We did not cause this building to deteriorate, and yet we have to live with the consequences of it. We did not call ICE to raid this building, and yet me and my neighbors had to deal with those consequences.
A judge appointed a receiver last month to coordinate closing the building and relocating tenants. Today, the judge denied an extension for tenants to stay in the building beyond Friday, calling the building a fire trap. Some of the tenants formed a tenants union. All parties seem to agree the building is unlivable. But some tenants say finding another place mid-month, mid-winter that's affordable has been difficult. And they say they haven't been getting the help promised.
People have been trying to get out of this building, right? It's not that people don't want to leave. It's not that people are dragging their feet. It's that it's hard.
I don't have anywhere to go. I'll be homeless Friday. From where it stands now, I don't have anywhere to go.
Where are we going to go, America? We're still trying to figure that out. It's a few days left.
Today, the judge also denied a motion asking for $7,500 for each resident to locate, saying tenants are being offered a fair amount to relocate based on their rent. Meantime, advocates for Southside Together are urging the tenants to take the money that's been offered.
Based on their rent, they're going to get minimal assistance monetarily based off their rent. So basically a few $100s maybe, if that, to get out. And today is Friday and it's cold in Chicago. But where are the advocates for South Side? Where is Brandon Johnson? He's always available to talk about the illegals and the aliens. He's always around for that. Let me see if I can find another video on Brandon Johnson, because again, he talks big talk when it comes to illegals. Oh, you know what? There is a YouTuber that talked about the fact that they were getting their property taxes raised because of trying to get money set aside for the illegals in their budget and all of that in Chicago. Oh, hold on, let me play this. But higher taxes. Hold on.
Already said the 2026 budget cannot be passed. Right. However, the budget really cannot be passed until someone explains that $200 million discretionary, what you say?
Discretionary fund for that special event.
For the special event
tucked away for illegals for.
Under new arrivals.
Yep.
New arrivals, however, in Chicago have $260 million that has been carved out of Chicago's budget to be set aside to assist the illegals, to assist the immigrants. I just showed y'all a video showcasing Americans that are having issues with a building because of ICE coming in and barging in and breaking down stuff and making their place now not allowed to live in. The judge granted for them to be evicted out today. They're only going to be offered minimal money for their rent, and that's it. They don't have anywhere to go. It's too little bit of time for them to figure that out in the code. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that were speaking were disabled. This probably was a building for low-income housing. That's what it looks like. So obviously, if you're low-income housing, you're not going to have thousands upon thousands of dollars set aside to help you out. And that money that you notice that the Somalians were able to tap into, billions of dollars since 2016, millions build up to billions, I should say, but nonetheless out the gate money. That's never been the case for our situations like that. I'm just wanting to show y'all who's working for who. $260 million definitely would assist with homelessness or tragedies that fall on Americans. And yet it's being preserved for the illegals. That's what they were talking about. Let's take a listen more to this. Let me go back.
2026 budget cannot be passed. Right. However, the budget really cannot be passed until someone explains that $200 million discretionary, what you say?
Discretionary fund for that special event.
For the special event
tucked away for illegals for.
Under new arrivals.
Yep. They back now.
$200 million. Now, Afro Elite was saying that the reparation people that received $500,000 from the Brandon Johnson administration was going to start protesting and fighting to push this budget because they want to start having debates or whatever on why we
debates on why.
So when they talk about reparations, which is money that was due to us over 100 years ago, it's all about debate. It's all about talk. It's all about kicking it down the road. It's all about study. It's never about the actual millions or billions of dollars that it would take to at least start doing reparations. And yet they got money for illegals. $260 million they're trying to pass in this budget in Chicago alone for illegals. Think about that. And at the same time, Americans are being kicked out on their ear in Chicago behind a building that is not being allowed to stay in by a judge. And there is no money set aside for them to be helped out today. But these are the games in which the Democrats have been playing. They just use our fight and our plight to advance other people's plight. And they play in our face and act like to be considered black is good enough. To be considered people of color is good. To pretend like being grouped up with every other immigrant is going to be a benefit and a blessing to us. This is the game that they're playing with us. Yes, African Goddess says, I agree, it is difficult times. Everyone has to look after their own. Exactly. You also said Kenya and South Africa both want them out. But I'm going to play some more of this. I want y'all to really hear these content creators that I'm showing in this small clip. They have been around a lot, speaking at different Democratic held hearings about the budget, about taxation, about the illegals, about migrant issues and all of this. And they are, they call themselves Flip Red. They're homeowners. Also, they are Black Americans. I know that Afro Elite calls himself FBA. I'm not sure if the other two call themselves that, but they are still Black Americans. And they have been in the forefront for a very long time exposing Brandon Johnson and about his slicky, lying ass that only looks out for illegals but never Black Americans. But he thinks that Black Americans are supposed to be footing the bill for illegals.
Budget cannot be passed. Right. However, the budget really cannot be passed until someone explains that $200 million discretionary, what you say?
Discretionary fund for that special event.
For the special events
that they tucked away for illegals for.
Under new arrivals.
Yep. They back
$200 million. Now, Afro Elite was saying that the reparation people that received $500,000 from the Brandon Johnson administration was going to start protesting and fighting to push this budget because they want to start having, what is it, debates or whatever on why we...
Debates on why?
Why we do...
They want to have debates on why, about the reparations.
Oh, okay. You talking about the meeting today?
No,
okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that they're going to protest, right?
Yeah, they're going to protest because they're in support of Brandon Johnson's budget, all right? They want, because Brandon Johnson funded their thing, so they're in support, and he did that on purpose, so they would be in support, and definitely, they feel like they owe him one, so they want to support this budget, so they're out there, and they're plotting and planning to
and the only reason why they would support these people that's supposedly talking about reparations because they probably been paid underneath the table. They got their little cut. So they're on the side of Brandon Johnson to sell us out because they got a little bit of money on the side. So they're in support of just getting debates about reparations for us. That's all we get is debates. Everybody else getting money set aside, tucked away, or stolen conveniently like in Minnesota. But when it comes to our situation, we just asked out, wondering what's going to happen next.
Pressure the aldermen in order to get them to fold and acquiesce for the budget, because the aldermen are the only ones who are standing up against it, because they're the reason why it's not through. So Brandon Johnson is trying to manipulate all of his shields really to pressure the aldermen. So what we have to do is we have to be a counter to that and let people know not to do that. Let people know the aldermen are actually doing the right thing for once, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And how do you want to sit and try to protest for your little 500,000 when my man is trying to push 200 million for new routes?
And the 500,000 he signed off on, 500,000, okay, was 2 years ago. We haven't seen anything about that, all right? These people have been shields for him the entire time for 2 straight years. I want you to understand that a lot of these organizations that claim they care about the people, they're doing this because they're indebted to Brandon Johnson. He did this on purpose. He doesn't care about black people, doesn't care about reparations, doesn't care about that. But he does that because these are grassroots organizations that will come out there and advocate for him when he needs their support.
Mm-hmm. So look, y'all, don't pass that budget. Alderman, do not pass that budget. Man, 13 of them that's fighting against.
We already said.
So we have yet to see if that budget will pass. Apparently, we're not getting nothing out of it. Apparently, the people about to be homeless will be exactly that, homeless today. Again, if it does pass, mysteriously, 260 million will be blessing illegals, but it will not touch Black Americans. They don't even bother to give us at least 10 million out of the 260 million. They gave us nothing. That's what the Democrats are on, giving us absolutely nothing. And then they're acting surprised about Black Americans now siding with Trump more and more and more, in understanding that the immigration is a big hurdle put in front of us. And this is why we are wanting to see more deportations. It is what it is. It's either them or us. It's either them or us. That's what it is. This is the great replacement. The great replacement, the attempted great replacement. Make us homeless while blessing the illegals in the dead of winter. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make it up. But migrants will do whatever it takes to get over on the system. They will scam. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. They'll collaborate with one another. They'll join forces against us online. And if you guys don't remember, there was a migrant that was charged about 5 months ago for staging a fake ICE kidnapping scheme. It was an elderly lady who pretended to be kidnapped by ICE. Staged it and all. That just goes to show you that they are feeling desperate and they'll try and do anything to get over. Let me show y'all this.
In this very parking lot a week ago, ununiformed men and unmarked cars kidnapped Julie. And with her courage and her strength, even though we don't know where Julie is, and we don't know when we will find her, Julie has managed to make 2 phone calls to the family since she's been kidnapped.
A migrant in California facing charges after allegedly staging a fake kidnapping And they blame federal agents, ICE agents. Julie Calderon is accused of lying to police and conspiracy in what the feds are calling an elaborate hoax. Investigators say they reviewed surveillance video and determined the kidnapping claim was not true. Former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey served as acting ICE director in President Trump's first term. He joins us now. Jonathan, so what they did is they also raised money off this. ICE looked into it and they said, we didn't do this. So they like making ICE kidnappers, even though they don't kidnap, they arrest. But ICE said, we thought we were pursuing a legitimate kidnapping. Where do they go from here?
Yeah, this is really outrageous. And when you think about it, this really stems from all of the rhetoric that's coming out of the Democratic Party. And the more outrageous the rhetoric, the more outrageous their behavior, the greater their status rises within the party. And it's not surprising that somebody would take advantage of this in a criminal way. A couple things that are interesting about this: they charge her with a conspiracy and also for lying to agents, which means other people are involved and maybe other people will be charged. But she's facing 5 years on each count and certainly deserves time on this, because it's really important that not only what she did was bad by maligning ICE agents, defaming them, and putting them in more danger, but they also were distracted from going after more serious criminals or other serious criminals, having to try to track this down to find out if somebody actually was kidnapped. So this is outrageous in every respect. It really harkens back to sort of the Jussie Smollett case, because he was taking advantage of all the anti-Trump hysteria to elevate himself. But it's outrageous. It's sort of predictable that it's not necessarily this, but something like this would happen.
So here's the Los Angeles Attorney General, Bill Asali. Listen. There was apparent financial motive, and I think there was another motive here. They want to discredit, dehumanize our federal agents. This is part of the narrative to encourage people to stand up to our agents and to assault them. And the question is the family involved too? I mean, the daughters have a picture with their missing mom. They had a GoFundMe page. They're raising money. You saw them with the signs. Would they dupe too? I'd like to find out, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to try to find that out, because if they're all in on it, they should all be charged on the conspiracy, because this is outrageous. And the U.S. Attorney is exactly right. And we've seen, I think the number now is between 800 and 900% rise in assaults on ICE agents, and that just seems to be growing.
Not only that, but breaking news, a content creator actually talked about ICE agents being kidnapped recently. I'm going to tell that story, but just understand that migrants, illegals will do and say whatever to get leverage, to get over. And so that hoax right there is just showing you where we are right now. But also, the ICE agents are more and more in danger. They are definitely not safe as before. Let me find this video. Please hit the like, by the way, if you have not yet. I will greatly appreciate that if you could do that. I just want to show what's really going on in our day and age, why we have to be centered and advocate for ourselves as Americans should be the first and only thing that we consider doing for our survival, because other people are getting over and doing anything to do and scheme, lie, pretend. I knew I saved that video. I gotta have this video somewhere. Okay, here it is. Here it is. This comes from Speak the Truth, by the way. I'm gonna play the news clipping. Again, ICE agents were kidnapped there in Minnesota. You guys, this you cannot make up. Hold on. Oh, these damn commercials. Okay.
Ended up getting kidnapped. That's not a joke. It's not a lie. Good morning. I hope you guys are ready for that. And
while we're at it, I'm going to also be touching on today that I am dang tired of politicians using veterans for their own political gain. All the politicians I'm going to go over today that were...
I'm tired of people using the word black, trying to make that seem like that's the only thing that we're supposed to be satisfied by. He's getting tired of people using vets. I'm getting tired of people using black. What's that got to do with the Americans over here and what we need to be about?
Using veterans, in my opinion, and flat out lying to the American people, quite literally don't concern themselves with veterans or any of the crap that we end up going through. So I'm just kind of tired of it. But yeah, you guys don't believe me about the people getting kidnapped.
FBI is investigating right now after reports someone kidnapped a federal agent yesterday. Plymouth and New Hope police officers responded, and Joe McCoy heard from the chiefs of both of those departments and has a closer look at what we know right now.
Yeah, Lauren, well, both chiefs described this as a chaotic situation. They were not made aware of this federal operation beforehand and were trying to piece together what was happening through 911 dispatch calls. A federal operation turned alleged kidnapping transpiring between Plymouth and New Hope yesterday afternoon, as local law enforcement did their best to piece together what was going on.
And so our officers are just kind of sorting through the chaos.
Plymouth Police Chief Eric Fadden says his officers were made aware through 911 dispatch calls that a Homeland Security Investigations agent had reportedly been kidnapped by a detainee inside the detainee's car.
It's not something we hear every day, especially in Plymouth here. So obviously our senses were, a little elevated with that.
It's unclear so far what led to this situation, but Chief Fadden says multiple 911 calls came from inside the car. Police say the situation began on the 4300 block of Nathan Lane North in Plymouth and ended roughly 5 minutes away in front of New Hope City Hall.
The New Hope police officers came on scene. They made contact with the federal authorities and verified what was going on, and then the federal authorities ended the operation in our city, directly in front of our city hall.
New Hope Police Chief Tim Hoyt says once his department confirmed it was a federal operation and no one was hurt, they left the scene.
We don't go one side or the other. We're just here to keep our residents safe.
Police say a woman was also in the car being detained by federal agents in front of New Hope City Hall.
If there's ever an instance when we can be notified ahead of time, so that we know this is going on, all of that just is preferable for us as an agency.
We have reached out to Homeland Security and the FBI for more information on the incident, but have not heard back yet, Lauren.
Oh, well, number one, big surprise there. They didn't let the New Hope Police Department know what the hell was going on because they are friendly. They don't take one side or the other. They don't do any of that crap. But don't worry, we've actually got a lot more information other than just what that news ended up coming out and reporting. I ended up finding this report over on NPR News coming out of Minneapolis. All right, and we're going to go over exactly how these two agents ended up getting kidnapped. It wasn't one, it was two. All right, so it wasn't one agent that was kidnapped. It was two, one in the front seat and one in the back seat of the car, one with the suspect that they were after and one with the driver. Now, I did a little bit of due diligence and it took me a long freaking time to figure this out. This is the first guy because you're going to hear his name as I go and read through how exactly this ended up happening. Don't ask me to pronounce this crap. Do not, because I have no idea. This man is from Nigeria, from what I was able to find. Fox McCloud says you side with the law. You're 100% on one side, bro. Yeah, I mean, exactly. He should be siding with the law, right? Like that's common sense. Ninja King says, holy crap, my family laughed about this. That's pretty freaking sad. And Incog Faraday coming and giving out 5 Speak the Truth membership. So this is a guy that they were actually after. Now, I looked him up and ended up finding a couple things out about this guy. All right, so Oluwadamilolola. Don't ask me how to pronounce it. That's his first name. Last name, B-A-M.
Obviously an immigrant. I believe he is Nigerian. And some other clip or reading that I read, he had a student visa that was expired, and he was being looked to get, got by the agents, but he ended up partaking in kidnapping alongside of a woman. I'm not sure if she's African or not. She looks like she is, but her name seems like it could be American, or maybe she could be biracial, half African and half American. I don't know, but let's listen.
Igboye. Great. You guys can see that he's currently being held. He's in a county jail right now. The Sherburne County Jail is where I was able to track it down to. That's where he's being held. He's being held on a federal charge. A felony is what they're saying. And court branch info is federal court. Case number does not exist. I wasn't able to find it. Zoom in on his mugshot. Looks right there. This is the female that was in there. Rakea Frazier. Check this woman out. She is 5'7" and 227 pounds. She was actually the driver of the vehicle, which is why she's arrested, because she's the idiot that decided to fight the law enforcement officers and kept throwing the dang car in drive. It even, if I read one of the reports correct, alleged that she had threatened to crash the car at one point in time if agents tried to do anything. So yeah, that's her. Take a good look. Blue hair. Rob would be happy. Look at that blue hair. But yeah, 200 and something freaking pounds, man. 200. Yeah, she's 5'5". Yeah, no, she is. You can hear.
So she wanted to be on the side of the African, to do whatever she thought she could get away with doing, and luckily they both got caught. But yeah, the ICE agents are not safe as, you would hope right now. They're going to have to be really prepared to do whatever they got to do to stay safe, getting kidnapped and carrying on. At least have some pepper spray in your hand or something like that. I know that I did see a video where the ICE agents were pepper spraying some of the people that were trying to interfere with them trying to get some of these people got, as far as them being arrested or detained. Yeah, listen.
Loud and clear. Now, the craziest thing about this guy, I got to go back and look up his name so I can show this to you. It was said that he was overstayed his student visa, and this is one of the craziest things to me. OLUW. Remind me. OLUW. Let me pull this up for you guys. OLUW. Oh my goodness, there's so many of them. Wow, that must be a common name over there. But he's listed right here as a graduate of the University of, what the hell is it? McNeese State University, and he was on the 2022 President's Honor Roll. So it looks like he graduated back then, and he actually did pretty good being on the President's Honor List when he went about graduating. Nuts to me that ended up happening, but I would assume that's when his student visa ended up expiring. Well, as the story goes, according to this article, all right, and these names, again, they are just freaking annoying as hell, that the federal officers were watching his vehicle, all right? I can't pronounce that name. Federal officers were watching his vehicle in the parking lot of an apartment complex, all right? His license plate matched. She was driving it though. Okay. FBI Special Agent Terry Gesh writes that HSI agents were inside an unmarked Ford Explorer surveilling, all right, that guy's Kia Optima, which was parked outside of the apartment complex over inside of Plymouth. The female, the 220 something pound female, was driving the vehicle, and she pulled up next to the Kia in a Jeep SUV. Excuse me. She pulled up next to the Kia in a Jeep SUV with Bimagwa in the front passenger seat. When he spotted the unmarked Explorer, he allegedly pulled a mask over his face and got out of the Jeep. According to the FBI's affidavit, which I wasn't able to find, the HSI agents walked up to the Jeep, displayed their badges, identified themselves as law enforcement, and told him that they wanted to talk about his immigration status. He then jumped into the back seat and yelled at Frazier to drive away. So you picture this, they're watching his vehicle. She pulls up her vehicle next to them. He ends up jumping out of the vehicle when they end up spotting the ICE agents. They go approach him and say, "We want to talk about your immigration status." He then jumps in the back seat of her Jeep and tells them to drive away. One of the agents got into the front seat of the Jeep in an effort to stop Frazier, while the guy tried to push him out, and a second agent tried to pull him out of the back seat. So you've now got an ICE agent in the front seat of the vehicle that's like trying to get that 225-pound female to not drive away. And then you've got one in the back seat trying to pull the guy out of the car. And the whole time he's fighting the ICE agent in the front seat, trying to get him the hell out. She allegedly put the vehicle in gear and drove off. HSI agent tried to put the Jeep in park, but Frazier continually pushed his hand away, allegedly threatened to crash the car, and said that they were taking him to a police station. The agent, who assigned to another HSI office and is in Minnesota on temporary detail for operation, did not know where they were going and was in fear that he was being abducted, because they were being abducted. From the back seat, that guy called 911. A detail confirmed, right, incident report from the Plymouth Police Department. HSI agents pursued the Jeep from closely behind with their lights and sirens on. So now it is abundantly clear that they are law enforcement officers, which he's trying to claim, and I'll get to it in a second, that it's not. Even after the agent inside of his Jeep drew his gun and ordered her to pull over, she continued driving and stopping only after reaching the New Hope Police Department. According to the affidavit, the guy jumped out and ran to a Hy-Vee grocery store across the street, while Frazier remained in her vehicle and was arrested only after police officers had arrived. Another HSI agent chased him into the store, and they ended up pulling him out of the back of the store at taser point, and took him into custody. They're both being held in the Sherburne County Jail. Most federal defendants in the Twin Cities are held in pre-trial detention. Now,
definitely sounded dangerous to be driving with a lunatic, and you are an agent trying to do your job, and they're just taking you on a ride, a close to death scenario. It could have been. And you caught up in that mayhem, that's crazy. But again, a lot of people are going to be desperate. Like I say, the ICE agents are definitely at risk, and they're going to have to figure out how to minimize those types of hiccups. Wow, to be like that, driving around all crazy, and you trying to get out, and the other people in the back seat fighting and carrying on, and it's just a wild scene, I can imagine. But at least we're hearing about it, so that maybe they'll give them more power to do more aggressiveness that they have to do. Like I say, at least have pepper spray in your hand, at least stop the person from driving. I would guess to do that, but he didn't do that.
Sure, they say declined to speak to the investigators, but in an interview with authorities, he allegedly denied that the agents showed their badges, but admitted telling Frazier to drive away, according to his affidavit. Now, I found another article that hadn't been published. I was just doing weird Google searches, right? Google dorking my butt off, and I ended up finding a local paper that hadn't published it yet, but had reported that this guy allegedly told the federal agents that because he's from Nigeria and he was worried, like he has basically PTSD from being kidnapped inside of Nigeria, he was scared that that's what was happening when the federal agents ended up jumping inside of his freaking car. So he was afraid of being kidnapped by like gangs and everything else, and had PTSD from it, from being in Nigeria. So when the Fed showed up, that's his defense on it. That's what he's stating. But at the end of the day, they are being held in that county jail. I was able to find them. It does show that they are booked on federal charges. That's the guy right there, and that's where they're at. And it blows my mind that he was a good student, reportedly on the honor list for the spring of 22.
If that's really a real situation, because they be scamming in schools too. They be scamming with diplomas and all kinds of stuff, being a nurse. So I don't know if that's true. It may be true, but they're definitely out here desperate and willing to do almost anything to get away and not be held for being here illegally. I mean, these people knew for a very, very long time that they were here illegally. They know the dates when it's expired. And so if they decide to stay here months and years upon years, They have decided, they have taken the initiation to decide to stay here illegally, and they should not be treated as if they ain't did nothing wrong. That's the part that's bothering me. People expect us to treat them like they haven't done anything wrong when they knowingly, deliberately ignored the law and didn't even try to address what they did wrong. There are so many cases of people that have been here for 20, 30 years, and they never did anything to change their status because they thought they had it like that. And I'm sorry, but I can't look at people that have been in America 30 plus years illegally, raising children, getting married, and all these other types of things, and not feel, like they earned what they got. Case in point, there is an illegal that has been here in America for 35 years. He has 3 U.S. born kids, and then they expect us to feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for them because in my mind, they just knew that America would always be this lax. They just knew in their mind that we would just be stupid forever. Like all these years, they've gotten away comfortably. Ain't nobody ever knocked on their door. Ain't nobody raised their voice. No letters were sent out. No nothing about any of this. They just lived their life carefree and careless. But look at this.
Colombian couple who lived in the United States for 35 years, illegally. 35 years. They came here in the late 1980s, built a life, dumped out 3 anchor babies, and somehow no one noticed they were supposed to leave. Now, fast forward to 2025, the Trump administration ramps up deportations, actually enforces immigration law, and guess what happens?
Orange County couple detained after living here in the U.S. for 35 years. The family says their parents are now expected to be deported to Colombia by the end of this month.
Colleen, I spoke with Stephanie Gonzalez today. She tells me that her parents, Gladys and Nelson, are at a detention center now in Louisiana. Now, an ICE spokesperson today confirmed what the family told us last week, that neither has a criminal history, but that spokesperson says they are violating immigration law and both have final orders of removal.
Yeah, breaking into a country illegally and living off taxpayers for 35 years is a crime. Don't fall for the leftist emotional manipulation. These people don't care about you. They just want to push their agenda down your throat.
Stephanie Gonzalez shares her family's heartbreak. She says her parents, Gladys and Nelson, have lived in Southern California for 35 years. She says they're good people who paid their taxes, raised a wonderful family in Laguna Niguel, and recently became first-time grandparents. But Gonzalez's parents came to the U.S. from Colombia illegally, and the family says during a routine check-in with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their parents were both detained February 21st, and they're now scheduled to be deported to Colombia by the end of the month.
Ridiculous that we have to wait an entire month to get them out. I want to know how they got away with it. For 35 years, somebody must have been helping them out, and they need to be held accountable.
Gonzalez says President Donald Trump...
That's what I say. And what has made it so easy for them to get away with this for 35 years is because they had a poster child for crime. They had a poster child for just doing all kinds of craziness in front of the media for the whole world to like absorb constantly. Black Americans, they have always kept us in the forefront for criticism on all fronts. It's always been shown us. Nobody's ever talked about immigrants. Never. That's why they have skidded by, because they have used us as the fall guy. And now they're holding their own weight, their own nuts. Now they're being exposed. All the scams, all the lies, all the just sliding by, getting over, because they didn't fit the mold of what was being targeted for so long. How else do you explain this? How else could someone feel comfortable and confident and entitled to stay in another country for so long? they were encouraged to be this way.
To take out criminals who have committed horrible crimes, and that's not the truth. Her parents have no criminal history, and an ICE spokesperson did confirm that today. In a statement saying, in part, as part of its routines operations, ICE arrests aliens who commit crimes. The statement goes on to emphasize, and other individuals who have violated our nation's immigration laws.
They came illegally. They stayed illegally. They lived here longer than most Americans stay in their careers, without legal status. Order after order, decade after decade, they lived here. And when ICE finally carries out the law they already had across decades, people act like it's some cruel surprise.
While immigration enforcements have focused on those with criminal backgrounds initially, we are now starting to see what ICE calls additional priorities being carried out. ICE confirms an immigration judge found no legal basis to allow the Gonzaleses to stay in the U.S. and granted Gladys and Nelson voluntary departures in 2000.
That's 25 years ago. How do these reporters take themselves seriously?
The Gonzalez family says their parents tried everything they could to appeal their cases and find a pathway to citizenship, but they say they were given bad legal advice through that decades-long process. Now, 25 years later, the couple was taken into ICE custody on February 21st to process a final order of removal. Gustavo Mora is an immigration attorney who does not represent the Gonzalez family, but says has many clients in the same situation.
Under the Trump administration, I have seen them be more aggressive, yes. But realistically, this would be a justified removal order under any administration. Because again, the courts found that they had no relief.
Clinton and Obama would have done the exact same thing, but suddenly it's a problem when Trump does it. Look at it logically. A sovereign country has the right to determine who lives inside it. That's not inhumane. That's not racist. That's just the definition of national borders. Yeah.
Bingo. Definitely the truth. America, being with all these freedoms, the reason for the freedoms and safety and all that is because we have been sovereign and we have protected ourselves, and people have not tried to do harm to us as much. Well, they haven't. Well, 9/11 they did, but and then you have mass shootings as well. But a lot of those people are foreigners. I mean, yeah, they're foreigners. They've been allowed in, or they've been here for a long time, and they set up shop, and they're like sleeper cells in America. At any moment, they can just go off and do whatever. And luckily, a lot of the attempted things as of late have been founded out before they could do it. But there's just plenty of people here that are here illegally that are unaccounted for. And so they're a constant threat. That's why they have to be addressed and founded out and dealt with somehow, so that it can minimize the threat in America, and so that we do not have, ourselves outnumbered. We can't be outnumbered.
They raised children here. Yes, they built a life. But none of that magically erased the fact that their stay was illegal. If you don't like deportations, protest border security failures, not law enforcement finally doing their job.
The Gonzalez family says they've exhausted all of their options and that the best thing they can do right now is help their parents prepare for a new life in Colombia once they're deported. The family has started a GoFundMe account to help their parents start a new life in Colombia. That account has raised more than $55,000. We're live in Newport Beach. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News. All right.
That $55,000.
At least they got more than what most people in our situations would get. Like I say, they seem to get a lot more sympathy. They get unwarranted sympathy. And they were the ones that chose to be here illegally. And somehow it's not viewed that way. It's not viewed that way. But it is that way. And that's the way I'm going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it like, oh, these people just wanted a new life and they can just disrespect the laws and do however they want. And they're special people too. minimizing who should be treated as Americans. Like, actually, in a lot of ways, I believe migrants or immigrants have been treated better. I mean, more and more news reports come out to showcase that fact. This is why we have to know the truth for what it is. And I want to drive home the fact that illegal immigration does really hurt my community, specifically Black men. This came from Fox News about 8 years ago, but it's really telling now as to what is really wrong. And this was Tucker. He did this news report for Fox when he used to work for Fox. And I want you to catch what this is like. And they exposed it. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, they did expose it. And they do know, I think Republicans do understand that with doing all away with these illegals and a lot of the crimes and criminals, it does enable Black Americans to somehow find their way out of the darkness. Now there should be more jobs. There should be more opportunities to get housing. It is a better opportunity for us to be able to breathe again, because we were definitely being choked out, like, for real.
Well, the push against illegal immigration is often attacked as a racist effort by white Americans to keep out non-white immigrants. But one Black civil rights advocate says, in fact, the biggest victims of low-wage illegal labor are Black men in this country who see their own job opportunities dry up and their own wages undercut. Peter Kirsanow is a member of the United States Commission on Civil Rights. He was also a candidate for President Trump's Secretary of Labor, and he joins us now. Peter, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks.
So this is a position you don't hear very much, but makes a kind of intuitive sense. Unpack it, if you would. What do you mean when you say that Black men in America are the biggest victims of this?
Sure. Well, just to give you a little bit of background, we've conducted at least 3 hearings over the last 6 years of the Civil Rights Commission on this discrete issue. And we had a number of experts testify. We deduced a lot of information with respect to the economic impact of illegal immigration on low-skilled workers generally. And all of the witnesses, all of the experts that we had who spanned the ideological spectrum, they may have disagreed in terms of the degree of the impact, but all of them concurred that illegal immigration has a devastating impact on wage levels and employment levels. And it's Econ 101, Tucker. When you have an oversupply of labor, the price of labor is going to be depressed. And also, we have an oversupply of low-skilled labor. And what happens is Black males are disproportionately concentrated in the low-skilled labor market, disproportionately have only high school diplomas. And over the last about 20 years or so, the bulk of our immigration, or both legal and illegal, has been on the low-skilled side. So we have an oversupply of low-skilled labor. It has a particularly magnified effect among Black males who are in that cohort. But it's not just Black males, it's all low-skilled Americans. It's also having a trickle-up effect on other Americans also, and it has effect on Black females also, and it has profound sociological implications as well.
I don't even know what the counter-argument to what you just said is. It seems obvious. It's clearly true. Has anyone told the Congressional Black Caucus?
Yeah, I have. On at least 3 occasions, and probably more. What we did is, immediately after reducing some of this evidence, and it's profound, because we're talking about I think it's a 40% of the 18-point decline in labor force participation rates among Black males is attributable to the oversupply of illegal immigration labor competing with them. So we're talking about, at the very low end, hundreds of thousands of Blacks losing jobs, probably, if you do the math, up to 1.2 million Blacks losing jobs. This has significant, obviously, impacts on the Black community. Got in touch with the Congressional Black Caucus, sent them detailed information on this, asked them to do something about it, to respond to us, to engage in this effort. My assistant repeatedly would follow up on this. What we heard were crickets. Did the same thing with President Barack.
Again, that is my point. Crickets. When it comes to how it affects my community, the Democrats, the CBC, the NAACP, anybody, everybody, crickets. We don't ever get anyone to truly be there for us, to advocate for us and do something for us. We're just expected to be lame, sacrificial lambs for other groups of people over us. And this video is like 8 years old. This is 2025. Do you see where we are with illegals now? How much worse it would have been if Trump wasn't in office now? 14 million here illegally approximately now. It is obvious that illegal immigration and overly flooding the zone and flooding America would definitely like squeeze us out of all the things in which we're supposed to have opportunities and everything working for us in our homeland. And yet it was definitely working against us. It was boxing us out of our own position here in America. Basically, we're at that point right here, right now. We have to get behind Trump in regards to immigration, Black Americans. I'm afraid to just tell you the truth, but we have to make more mentions and videos and show our appreciation and support, not be dormant and quiet. That's why I do these videos, even though I don't get a lot of people to support. I'm still putting it out there in the atmosphere for anyone to understand that, yeah, we do have Black Americans that do support this immigration situation. They're maybe not on the street talking about it, screaming it out, but they're definitely around. So y'all just need to know that part.
Obama, crickets again. And this isn't some...
And Obama, of course, never did nothing for us. He was so popularized by the media. He was on top of the clouds like he was Jesus himself coming down from heaven. Didn't do a damn thing for Black Americans. The main person that stabbed us in the back when we really truly needed him the most was Barack Obama. 8 years of neglect. Every year of neglect. As he so-called rocked being Black. And we were supposed to be satisfied with him being simply Black. Oh, the first Black president. Oh, he kind of looks like us, Barack Obama Hussein. Kind of, sort of. He's one of our brothers. We got to win, y'all. We got something on the board. We got nothing. We got played. We got toyed with. Yes, we can. Remember that bullshit? Yes, we can be ignored, and we did, and we was. Everybody that is set up supposedly over the years for decades upon decades, and I think the WACP has been around probably for like 100 years. Now look at them. They act like they are the arm of the Democrats. They all act like they are the arm of the Democrats. They all should have their own individual mindset, being independent of all the other bullshit. But no, they're one big block of the Democrats. That's why we have been cut out of our own fight and plight here in America. We've become silenced. And he's revealing this 8 years ago this happened. Listen again.
Got in touch with Congressional Black Caucus, sent them detailed information on this, asked them to do something about it, to respond to us, to engage in this effort. My assistant repeatedly would follow up on this. What we heard were crickets. Did the same thing with President Barack Obama, crickets again. And this isn't some minor matter. When we're talking about a labor force participation rate of 61.8%, an appalling labor force participation rate among black males, and again, family formation rates are affected by this, incarceration rates are affected by this. This may be one of the top issues facing the black community, but have heard silence, but worse than silence, frankly. We've seen Congressional Caucus and many others embrace the open borders philosophy that's done such damage to black employment prospects.
This seems like a scandal to me. Can you explain it?
I think it really has to do with political imperatives. I really can't explain it going beyond that. I can't get into their heads. But this is something that is plain. It's unequivocal. It's not something that's complicated. And yet they've embraced an element that actually does egregious harm to the prospects of the black community. Again, I'm focused right now on the black community, but it does incredible harm with respect to all employment at the low-skilled level. And then we've seen what's happened with H-1B and H-2B visas. We can handle that smartly, but it's not being handled smartly, and it's affecting black workers. But I think that the political imperative of identity politics has trumped, no pun intended, the desire or the imperative to protect your constituents.
It's just so striking to hear someone discuss immigration in economic terms, using numbers and social science, rather than in identity politics terms. And I just wonder why more on the left don't do that. They used to.
I think again, I'm not an expert at these things, I'm just kind of surmising, but if you take a look at what they've been doing for the last several years, engaging in identity politics, I think they made a demographic calculation that if they were able to specify certain groups that they think that they can stir up so that they will vote in a particular fashion, that augurs to their short-term benefit, regardless of what happens to their constituents.
It's shocking. Peter, thank you for that. That was a great explanation.
Thanks for having me.
I wonder if he's still around, because he was dead on target. He hit the head on the nail on the head when talking about this. I've never seen this guy before, but his name is Peter Kursanow. I'm gonna try to look him up. Let me see if I can find one more video about how he's talking. But he definitely was speaking truth to what was happening. And he said that he let the CBC know, he let Obama know, and they ignored him. They did crickets on him. In fact, I was one of the ones that did write CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, back in 2021. I was making my feelings felt by contacting Sheila Lee Jackson and a couple of other people, also an attorney general of Ohio. I made a complaint about how things were going, and I felt like our voice was hijacked. I felt like we were being boxed out, and everybody else was speaking over us, for us. They kind of like just pushed us out of the way. So this is why I think that we should really think about ourselves. We have no time to tarry. We don't have the luxury of bullshitting anymore. I did find a small clip of the same guy. He's about to really break it down about the immigration situation.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this, and there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on black workers.
So he was a U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. I'm actually going to look him up and see if he is around right now and see if he is still out here. He has a different last name. He does look like a Black American or mixed, but I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find something on him before he gets going. But he's letting it be known that he made an effort to contact them to try to change some of this around, and he just got no action. And he is a part of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. He was. Let me make sure if he's there or not right now. Let me see. He might be retired or in another position. He is a partner with the law firm of Bench, Friedlander, Copeland and Arnoff working within its labor and employment practice group in Cleveland, Ohio. Chairperson of the United States Commission on Civil Rights. He is 72 years old. Oh, he was born in October 30th. He's a part of the Republican Party. Wow, I might need to contact him. Wow, let me see. This is interesting. So he's been around a little bit. Let me see if I can find how long has he been around. But hold on. Dang, what happened? See if there's any news. Okay, the last time that he was out talking was recently, January 9th, 2025. Cleveland attorney Peter Kursanow faces leadership battle at Civil Rights Commission. What does that mean? Hold on. All right, it says nearly a quarter century ago, it took months of litigation to seat Cleveland labor lawyer Peter Kursanow on the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights when its then chair refused to recognize his appointment by President George W. Bush. Decades later, the current leader of the 8-member panel established by Congress to fight discrimination is refusing to cede its chairmanship to Kursanow after President Donald Trump designated him its chair on the day he took office. Kursanow predicts the battle over his chairmanship will again be decided in a courtroom. Wow. They're trying to get rid of him. The guy that's speaking up for us, they're trying to get rid of him. There's a legal question to be determined, says Kursanow. I think that the Office of Legal Counsel, White House Counsel, and DOJ, Department of Justice all believe that the president has the authority to fire commission heads as he deems fit, but that's probably going to be litigated. Created by the Civil Rights Act of 1957 as an independent bipartisan fact-finding agency, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights examines alleged discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, or national origin, and suggests fixes to Congress and the president. Over the years, it played a critical role in developing civil rights legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1960 and 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 by investigating discriminatory practices and providing crucial data. If he becomes chair, the consecutive partner at bench would set the commission's agenda. While he says he wouldn't drop any of its current initiatives, he'd like to reshuffle its priorities with more focus on issues like election integrity, transgender athletes, and potential bias in facial recognition technology. What? The commission's current Democratic chair, Texas Attorney Rochelle Garza, says her term doesn't expire for another 4 years. In a statement to Cleveland.com, she said the statute that set up the commission requires the chair to serve until a majority of commissioners vote to designate a new chair. She says she's open to holding a vote, but no motion to vote has been called. Since being unanimously voted in as chair, I have led the commission in a productive and bipartisan manner, advancing politically balanced state advisory committee appointments, increasing the number of national briefings and reports produced, and expanding the commission's output of impactful civil rights work, Gaza's statement said. Kursanow hopes the matter will come up for a vote at the commission's upcoming June meeting, Although there's currently a 4-4 bipartisan split on the commission between Republicans and Democrats, and Cursino says its members are the most collegial group. He's worked with the nearly 25 years he served. He's not sure how a vote will turn out. Wow. I'm just kind of in the twilight zone, he says, of his status. Now, this is the guy I'm about to show y'all, the guy that has been representing Black American men. And this happened in June 2025. The Zeitgeist, whatever way you pronounce that, is probably that I'm not going to be voted on affirmatively by the progressive commissioners, but there hasn't been a hard and fast determination yet because we haven't had the vote. If his chairmanship doesn't prevail, he expects the question will head to court and become a test case for presidential appointment powers. The current dispute echoes controversy over his 2001 appointment to the Civil Rights Commission by George W. Bush. He came to the Bush administration's attention as chairman of the conservative Center for New Black Leadership think tank, which backs school choice and opposes racial preferences, quotas, and set-asides. Which backed school choice and opposes racial preferences, quotas, and set-asides. Wow. It also advocated private investment options for Social Security on the grounds that its payment system cheats Black men who too often die right after retirement. The commission chair at the time, University of Pennsylvania history professor Mary Frances Berry, refused to acknowledge his appointment, arguing that the term of the commissioner he was selected to replace had not expired. She said federal marshals would be needed to seat Cursino. What? Wow. That sounds incredible. He's been around since George W. Bush. He is fighting, or was fighting, back in June 2025 in reference to leadership battle. And this is the guy that spoke out about how immigration affected Black men in America. And he's been around for about 25 years. And they're trying to move him out the way. Wow. Let's listen to what he had to say, though. This video, this will be the last video, but this, he had a think tank too. Think about that. Keep that in mind. He mentioned that he did have a think tank. I'm not sure if that's still around now, but this video was back in 2019. And this is a panel clip where he discussed immigration affecting Black workers. And I don't know, well, he did talk about it on the other video, but let's see what he has to say here.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this, and there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on Black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological spectrum. Regardless of whether or not they disagreed on discrete policy issues, each and every one of them agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on Black wage levels and employment levels. If you've got a significant influx of low-wage labor, what does it do? It depresses wage levels, correct? And what we found also was, regardless of the wage levels, illegal immigrants displaced Black workers in areas that had traditionally been populated by Black workers. And the reason for that is because what you find is Black workers, particularly Black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-wage labor market. And are disproportionately.
Well, this is exactly the same thing he said in the other video. So again, he's been speaking up for black men in America, and suddenly I'm hearing he's having issues with maintaining his seat now. People trying to get rid of anyone advocating for us. It seems like that's what's happening. And wow, that's unbelievable. Okay. You said, well, they got enough to set themselves up nicely in their own country. Apparently so. But just peep what I'm saying. Like, isn't it strange how so much money and opportunity has been afforded to illegals and immigrants for so long, comfortable with the help of the Democrats? And now they're upset because Trump is trying to change all that they had been pretty much trying to cement themselves in power and cement us at the bottom with nothing, causing us to be homeless more, jobless more, and running out of time and being squeezed out in our own country of America by the help of Democrats, with the help of illegals, with the help of them. Trump is the only reason why this situation may be corrected. He literally is the only one that is trying to correct it. And here is the Congressional Black Caucus 9 years ago. I want you to hear what they had to say about immigration. Like I say, they've been on this kick for a long while now. We just didn't figure it out. We just now got wind of all this understanding, probably in 2020 is when we finally got this understanding. But this is what they were on.
Well, we didn't ask the president to pay a price on anything. But we did discuss immigration, but more to the degree that we want to be sure that the immigration bill, which they are saying is comprehensive, is in fact comprehensive, and that it includes people from the Caribbean and from Africa, which had heretofore been done by diversity visas. We want to be sure that the people we represent, those who come from underserved countries, poor countries, are included in the bill. That was the extent of our discussion.
So the Black Caucus, all got together to say they're on the side of bringing more immigrants that are melanated to come to America. That's what Jackson, what's her name? Sheila Jackson Lee, who has passed away a year or so ago. Here we have the LA mayor, whatever her name is, I forget right now. And all the representatives of Democrats right here talking about their desire to get every other melanated group over here. And then we're confused on who is on whose side. Like I say, ain't nobody together talking about getting money and opportunities for Black Americans like that. No, they don't. They're talking about hooking up other people from other places.
Well, we didn't ask the president to pay a price on anything. But we did discuss immigration, but more to the degree that we want to be sure that the immigration bill, which they are saying is comprehensive, is in fact comprehensive, and that it includes people from the Caribbean and from Africa, which had heretofore been done by diversity visas. We want to be sure that the people we represent, those who come from underserved countries, poor countries, are included in the bill. That was the extent of our discussion about the immigration bill.
Yep, that's what it is. That's what it is. So wait a minute. This guy that's speaking is half Russian. Well, let me see. He says his father was Russian. Hold on. Is he Black? Let me see what he is, or half Black. Didn't get that part. He does look different. And his last name definitely is different. Hold on. No, I don't think he's. Okay, so he said he's Black, but he must have a Russian father. That's unique. A Russian. Hold on. He's a black civil rights commissioner, member of the United States Commission on Civil Rights. Where is parents? His father was a Russian immigrant. Let me see, what was his mother? American influences skin pigmentation leading to discrimination experiences. So his mother was a black American, I'm assuming. It just says American. Okay. All right, but he's half Russian. Nonetheless, he still had the heart to speak up for us when nobody has been speaking up for us. And now he's like going through it. Oh, wow. Like I said, I know a lot of people are high strung right now. A lot of people are fearful, especially if you are an immigrant and illegal, what's going on. But unfortunately, I can't be on the side of illegals and immigrants and put them over Black Americans. As you can tell, is a correlation of immigrants versus what happens to Black Americans. It's one way or the other, bad or good. You know, if the numbers are so high on the side of immigrants, it does have an ill effect on Black Americans. And if it's not so high, it kind of gives us breathing room and more opportunities to be focused on versus being ignored. That's basically what is going on. And the only thing that I can say is that we got to figure out who could lead and speak for us like other groups are doing. We got to figure that out. I know Tariq Nasheed doesn't want to do it. He don't want to be the leader. But we got to try to get a hold of Claud Anderson and this guy right here to see where it is. I mean, he had a think tank for Black people. I've never heard of any of us having a Black think tank. I've never heard that before. So somebody with that type of mindset and also know what the history of immigration has done to us, that will speak that truth and advocate for us. There has to be that voice that's out there like that, because every other voice has been shut down that's speaking like that, except with the exception of Chicago, Danny C and Afro Elite, that video I showed y'all where they were talking about $260 million being set aside for illegals in Chicago if that bill passes that they're trying to block from being passed. $260 million set aside for illegals and not Americans. And the Americans are becoming homeless and they're paying higher taxes on their housing. That is what they're proposing to happen for us, which is bad. It's not meant to be good. So anyways, I don't have anybody hardly in the chat room. I try to showcase why we have to advocate for ourselves. That was the purpose of this. Kind of all over the place, but I just try to show examples of why we should not consider what the illegals and immigrants are going through and stay focused on what we need to do and try to rally to get some type of leadership and position to speak up for us boldly and make moves to talk with people in power for us. Like, until we get there, we're really gonna be spinning around in a circle like we're chasing our tail like a cat. We're not gonna get anything done, and we're not gonna be heard like we should. And I think it's like rigged for us to be like that. Like, no one is trying to hear us. They're trying to silence us and keep us silent. So please share the video. Please like the video. I appreciate everybody for listening. Bless up.